Hello and welcome to the Business Growth Show, where I interview successful entrepreneurs on all areas of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Nathan Cassiotis. I'm a business growth expert, investor, and international speaker where I help business owners grow and scale to create wealth and freedom. Today, I have an awesome guest. His name is Kew Jaliens, and he is a retired professional football player, Olympian, former World Cup player, mindset coach, entrepreneur, and investor. And he had the privilege of a remarkable career that spanned almost 2 decades at the highest level of sport. Throughout his journey, he achieved significant milestones, including winning championships in both Holland and Poland and participating in the Champions League with 3 different clubs. And he also played in over 50 EuroLeague games, experiences that shaped him both as a player and a person. And on the international stage, he proudly represented the Dutch national team at prestigious events like the 2006 World Cup in Germany and the 2008 Beijing Olympics. And close to home, he also played for the Newcastle Jets in Australia, which is awesome. And he attributes his success to a strong mindset and unwavering mentality, qualities that he believes were key to his achievements. And he is helping the next generation of elite athletes to achieve their potential. Welcome, Kew Jaliens, and thank you for being on the Business Growth Show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome, mate. It's awesome to have you here, and look forward to, I'm sure you share a lot of value with everyone watching and listening today. So you are a successful entrepreneur. So yeah, for those people who don't know who you are, just, introduce yourself by telling us a little bit more about you and your journey.
So like you said, my name is Kew Jaliens. Been living in Australia for 11 years now. Came here to play football. So I played for the Newcastle Jets, retired at Melbourne City. And after that, like my journey started in football still, off the pitch, but as an academy director for the Newcastle Jets. I was a technical director for Football Northern New South Wales. And since about 1.5 years now, I really got into the business journey of being an entrepreneur. And that's in the business of mindset coaching. The journey started when, like, going back on my own career and my life, like finding my own qualities. And the thing that really popped out in my own journey was the mindset, my mentality, and the mental part of the game rather than just the physical or the technical part of the game. And being around entrepreneurs, I kind of found that things that came natural for me all those years were real eye-openers for others. So for example, like waking up early, meditating, getting over your fears, like things like that. And when I used to have those, for me, natural chats, like I really could give out the nuggets that some people were struggling with. And the more and more that happened, I found that like my mindset was really on a high level compared to a lot of others. And that was due to the background of me playing professional football from an early age, in which I really had to develop that at a high level. So yeah, I started to find joy in helping others, especially on the front of mindset. And that eventually became my business. So yeah, that was a bit of my journey being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, cool, man. Nice. Thanks for sharing that. I always love hearing the background. Yeah, and Melbourne City as well as Newcastle. I know you're based closely here in New South Wales and created some awesome impact there in the community, but also now helping a lot of other people and those next generation of athletes, which is awesome. I've played a lot of soccer or football as you would call it, but soccer here in Australia and tennis growing up, right? And I won a lot of championships in both. I didn't go to your level though in soccer as much as I would have liked to. I'd like to know from starting, I guess, from a young age, like how were you supported, I guess, from your parents and things like that on that impact, and how was that, I guess, in the family for you to, give you a good chance, for success?
So football runs in the family from both sides. From my mom's side, I had cousins that played for Ajax, which is a good club in the Netherlands. From my dad's side, my dad's youngest brother played for the Suriname national team, was technical director there as well. So on that part, like football just runs in the veins. But growing up, like my dad was really strong on discipline, especially in my early days. I played the highest level of amateur football when I was 15. So I played with men already. And one example of mindset and discipline was that we had like a family party on I think it was a Friday. And family party, you stay out late, come home late. But because I was training with the first team already, I had to train Saturday morning. And my big plan was to sleep in because like party time, come home late, sleep in. And next thing I know, my dad came around and splash of water on my face, like woke up and he's like, mate, listen, if football is the thing that you wanna, proceed in or get better in and level up, discipline is one of the key factors that needs to be on par. And the thing that he said is, if you want to be a man at night, you'll be a man in the morning. So get your stuff, shower, and head off to training. So that was my first lesson in discipline, which basically that was my lesson for life. Like that was my thing. Discipline had to be on par no matter what, no matter my feelings or like things that might happen in life. Like if I want to be the best at what I do, I have to put in every time.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I love that. No mucking around. I remember my dad, threatening me once to put a bucket of water on my head when I was sleeping in, when I was younger, but I didn't actually do it at one point. So it's,
Yeah.
you got it happen to you, did what you had to do. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting because I think I hear the stuff, it's awesome that it was in your family. And obviously there's there's a higher chance, but in the end, I think anybody can really do it. It's just because they were aware of it, they were like, okay, we know what you need to do to help you, with that discipline and all of that
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
to get you to that point, which is awesome. And do you want to just talk a little bit about like how hard it is, right? Because I know that like to get to the top, right, of where you've played, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people, right? Especially in the soccer
Yeah.
football world, right? The biggest game, world game in the
Yeah.
world. How hard is it to really make it, as a professional footballer?
It's really hard because there are so many factors that need to go your way. So first off, growing up in the Netherlands, like as a boy, I think 95% of the boys want to be a footballer. So that's competition already. Like if you pick that sport and it's football, there's going to be a lot of boys that want to make it into a professional footballer. So really trying to find ways to differentiate yourself from a lot of others. And that basically it's putting in the work because I often have chats with younger athletes where, let's say it's nutrition. Like when I'm coaching, I can see the difference in players that eat what mama makes for them, or they go to the fast food and have Maccas. Like I can just see the way they move, the energy level, like those little things. And in the Netherlands, it was a case where if I knew that my mate next to me went to the gym 3 times a week, I would at least have to go 3 times as well, because if I wouldn't do that, he would have the upper hand. So it was a constant battle of amongst ourselves as a team to wanting to be the best. And that just required to put in the work every day and then practice the amount of hours. I think a lot of people like don't get that part because daily it would be at least 4 hours of perfecting your craft, like whether it's passing, whether it's strength, whether it's the mental part of things. It just requires to put in the work every day. Because if you're not part of the best of the squad in that week, that might be your spot. And then number two will have a chance. And if number two does well, that might be you gone. So it's a day in, day out, sacrificing like parties, birthdays. I've missed weddings, I've missed funerals. Like it was all based on on football. So I give you an example. If I knew that my game was on a Saturday, I would have my whole week planned from the Sunday up until the Friday, day before the game, on what I would eat, when I would rest. So basically getting ready for that peak moment. And after that peak moment, finding your like relaxation or your downtime. So it was just like basically almost 2 decades of just focus.
Yeah. Cool, man. I love that. And what you shared there is so relatable to business, right? As well, because you had to spend multiple hours a day, practicing, perfecting your craft. It's not just winging things, right?
Yeah.
It's like how do I get better every single day and sacrificing a lot, right? Not going to certain things. Like as an entrepreneur, that's what happens, right? If you want to, move ahead in business. So many amazing lessons that that you shared there, which are so relevant, as a
Yeah.
business owner. So
Yeah.
I really love that, mate. Thanks for sharing that area there and doing and think about it, from a competitive standpoint, right? Where competitors in business, you got to at least be doing what they're doing as a
Yeah.
minimum, right? But then it's like, how do I differentiate? What's unique about me in my business or personally as well? That personal brand element too. So yeah, like that. I'm just framing this for everybody, right? About what you're sharing
Yeah.
here,
Yeah. Yeah.
very very translatable to business as well. So you talked a little bit at the start a little bit about what you do like daily. So do you want to just tell people like to really be in a great mindset, right? Because that's what you're all
Yeah.
about, and I think it's very
Yeah.
important. What are some daily habits or practices and things that we should be doing to have that strong like growth mindset?
Yep. Um, so definitely things that come with the growth mindset is an ability to every time find things or situations to learn from. Because when you get in your head and you think about, well, I can't because such and such, like I always try to find a challenge in, well, what if I can? Like, what will the difference be if I can? Like, what will my emotion be if I can? Rather than, getting that fear, getting that load on yourself. Because it's just a relief if you think about, wow, like if I can do this, or if I get past this fear, like what is the joy that it will bring me? So for me, it's very important that every day I start at nil. Like I start with nothing. Waking up with gratitude is a very big thing for me. And that's what I had to learn as well, to be honest. In my younger years, I lost my grandma. And that process of that few weeks for her to be in hospital and me going to the hospital every day and walking through the corridors, like hearing the beeps and the sounds and like people, like every day it might be a different setup. Like somebody might have died last night, new person came in. And that really grounded me because I was a professional footballer already. And being young, like, top of the world, you got your car, money's coming in. So you think you're on top of the world, but for me to go through that process really humbled me. And so every morning I take out time for myself to meditate, be thankful. First of all, that I woke up, that I can sit up, because not everybody can sit up on the bed, that you can breathe normally. So all the things that kind of come natural for us. Like I really consider that it's not a normal thing for us to just wake up and go about our day. So that's how I start my day. And from there, a very important thing, not just as an athlete, but I think also in business and in like whatever you strive in life, to set your goals. So if you have a clear schedule of the goals you want to achieve that day, and then prioritize in the order that is important to you, will really structure your day and will help you focus to achieve every goal. Mark it off, go to the next one, work it out, mark it off, and then go through your day. I think those are the biggest things for me starting my own day. And those things really helped me out in my career, because every training session I had, I would have a certain outcome that I wanted for myself. And that's what I would really work hard for, to be able to mark that off after the training.
Yeah, awesome, man. I love that. You know, a lot of people talk about goal setting, but I love that, you know, your story of you doing this even, you know, from sport or, you know, just being constantly on it, right? And then completing those goals and helping you to move forward, which is, yeah, so powerful. Let's talk about visualization here now, because I hear a lot of stuff around sport about visualization, but, you know, even business, things like that, and maybe from a potential affirmation side of things, right, as well. So do you want to talk a little bit about that and how that can help, you know, our mindset and in our success as well?
Yeah, 100%. So first of all, it has, whatever you do, whatever you get into, it has to be positive. So I will share a little bit of my own visualization that I started in my early days. Is I signed at that time a very big contract. Made a transfer in the Netherlands, and I kind of had like an interview with the new coach. And he asked me, like, what are my goals? Like, what do you aspire? What are you, like, the short term, long term goals you have set for yourself? Because for him, that was important to know and to see, like, where my mind was at. At that time, I was playing for the young national team. So in my head, the visualization and the goal and the dream was to play for the A team, the national team in the Netherlands. I was 20 at the time, but there was no indication of me getting to that level or even like getting close to that level. But I knew that is what I wanted to do. So I said to him, well, my goal is to make it into the national team. And he looked at me like, well, okay, well, that's a pretty big step. But in my heart, I knew that is what I want to do. Like, whether I get it or make it, that's another thing. But my goal was, I want to make it into the national team. And from then I started to visualize like how it would be, how it would feel, thinking about the emotions, recognizing those emotions. And I made it into the national team when I was 25. So it took me 5 years of really getting my emotions right. And I remember being part of AZ Alkmaar that time, which was one of the better clubs in the Netherlands. Like, every time there was like a UEFA break, like, I think almost 80% of my team would fly out. Like, everyone went to the national team. This one went to this country. He went to this country. And we would stay back with maybe 4 or 5 players in that team. And sometimes when people visualize and it doesn't come straight away, you get into your negative emotions or negative feelings. But I always stayed positive, and I would remember saying to myself, your time will come. Don't worry, put in the work, your time will come. And I think a half year after that period of every time seeing people leave, I got the call up to say, hey, we need people. Are you ready to come in? And from that time, I joined the national team. So I think, especially with visualization, it's very important to recognize your emotions. Because it's one thing to think about it, one thing to see it, but really to feel it and embrace that feeling. I think that's like the next step of, breaking through and really claiming what you think is yours.
Yeah, I love that, mate. So powerful. And it's like that delayed gratification versus instant gratification, right? Where I think a lot of that, especially the youth of today, you know, that I know you work with a lot, is they're wanting everything now. You know what I mean? Because you've got the Netflixes, you've got all these things that give it to you straight away. Whereas I think that delayed gratification, working for something and still being strong and disciplined, no matter how long it takes, you know, I think is a massive skill in sport, in business, right? All of that. As well.
I agree.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Let's talk around, I guess you talked a little bit around the food side of things, like you could tell the slight differences before. Let's talk about, I guess, health and physical fitness now, right? Because I think this is important, because if you're yeah, eating bad and you're very overweight and things like that, that can help your energy, affect your energy, whether it's
Yeah,
sport,
100%.
business, things like that. So do you want to talk a little bit more around the health, physical fitness science and how that,
Yep.
impacts us as well?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I think a lot of people kind of misjudge. I think that's, yeah, might be the right term, but it goes hand in hand. Like, you can have a great mindset, you can achieve goals, but if your nutrition stays back, you will only cheat yourself. Because let's take hydration for example. Like, if you don't get the right fuels in, it will affect your ability to, like, think, visualize, like basically everything you will do in sports, in business, whatever it might be. Like, if you are not 100% yourself physically, then whatever you want to pursue will drop with the level that you kind of like let yourself go. So if I know I have to be 100%, but my fuel level is only 70, whatever I want to pursue, it's going to drop down to that 70 and might even less sometimes. So it's very important that you get the right fuels. And I learned that throughout my career, where you really have to find your peak moment and live through to reach a certain level at that peak moment, to be able to basically don't have worries about anything else. So for me, it was football. So if my worry was, oh, I'm hungry or I'm thirsty, or that will take away so much from my ability. So if I know I have to be 100%, I need to get enough fluids in. I need to have a certain amount of carbs or whatever it might be. So for me, the structure in getting your nutrition is very important. So for example, I'll give you a little example of somebody I worked with, who is a top surgeon. So basically he gets a call, and when he gets a call, it's serious business. But that call might be 3 a.m. So there's no balance in when that call might come. So for him, it was really key to be on top of nutrition every day of the week, because whenever that call would come, he needed to be 100%. Because as a leader of his team, if he rocks up and it's only 60%, it's gonna flow out through your whole team. And being a surgeon, like if your team is not 100%, somebody might lose their life. So we really had to find like a balance for him to be on par whenever that call needed to come. And that came with fluids. So I'm really big on natural, whole foods. So the thing that we found for him was coconut water, but like real coconut water from a real coconut, rather than just like a bottle or a package. So we would buy like a stack of coconuts, and every few hours he would have one, just to have that natural flow, have the liquids in, rather than, you know, like fizzy drinks or like a Coke or like things like that. And that really helped him with his focus, being clear in his mind, feeling clear in his body. Um, and one thing that we also, so myself as well, like fruit and vegetables, which just clears. So I can't really go into too deep because we don't have much time. But my first thing in the morning would be fruits, always. Because I have to have fruit on an empty stomach for it to really get into my body and be helpful, building me up throughout my day. So yeah, it's with nutrition, it's more, it becomes individual, but it's all about structuring the way you have your intake and when you have your intake. But yeah, it's I can talk for for a few hours with you about nutrition, to be honest. But I would say with nutrition, it's about the structure and the things you take in. And in that sense, I like whole foods, fruits, vegetables, coconut water, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, man. Love it. Yes, I could probably talk for hours as well. I'm
Yeah,
big on this as well.
yeah.
And
There's
I'll,
so much popping into my head. It's like, oh no, you can't go too deep, not too much.
go too deep. We're gonna have to find some health podcasts for you as well, and then you can go maybe a whole hour or something on some health stuff. But yeah, I agree. It's really important, and you feel the difference when you do that. And I know that coconut water is very high in electrolytes, naturally hydrating and things like that. And I love that it was from real coconuts. It wasn't even from a bottle. Right? It's like fresh, right? Everything there, all these little things matter, in terms of what you're doing
100%.
in probably the organic side, to standard things, and all of those little bits, can do that, and the timing of it. So I agree, man. Love it. Awesome stuff. One thing you harped on at the start, I just want to ask a little bit more about is discipline, right? Because I think this is really important, sport, business, whatever. I guess you were drilled in, right, from your parents there to do it. For people that maybe don't have the parents, right, that are drilling them in,
Yep.
what tips can you give, I guess, to build discipline? Because there's a lot of things out there that people don't like doing that much, right? Even though they know they should be doing it, right? And that's where the discipline comes in. So what is something you can share maybe that, help building discipline?
So helping with discipline would be finding structure. So for example, with discipline comes trust. So if I wouldn't do the things that I needed to do before, let's say it's a warm-up. If I would go out on the pitch and didn't make my warm-up, like anxiety would kick in because, oh, I didn't make my warm-up. What happens if I make like this 100% sprint? Like, how are my muscles? Like, there's so many things, fears, doubts, anxiety. Those are all the things that you allow to come in if you drop your discipline. So for the people that don't have that discipline, is to think about the joy that it will bring you when you will have that discipline. The lack of problems or the lack of anxiety, those things that always bring you down, that gives you like a negative emotion. If you will start to implement discipline, at least 80% of the things that you fear daily will go away. And that's when you start with discipline. So, and then there's different levels to discipline, but if you start that, you will find that so many things that will haunt you daily will disappear because you found the structure, you found that positive emotion of when you have that discipline, and the joy that you will find from it is far greater than the fear that you hold when you don't have it.
Yeah, love it, man. Awesome stuff. Let's talk around fear and risk now, right? I know this is something that you talk about because I think we all have fear, right? To some extent that we've learned. Most of the time, it's not born with, right? Unless it's falling or things like that.
Yeah.
And people, being comfortable, not necessarily taking as much risk or things like that in whatever they do. So you want to talk a bit about that side, and then maybe how we can break through that as well.
Yeah, so fear. So a lot of the fear, like you said, comes from the outside, whether it's your environment, things that you started to believe about yourself that others have said. And for me, it starts with self-love. So, and that's a big journey for everyone, I think, to find that peace within yourself. But I really found like that peace within myself. And with fear and risk, I would say it's identifying your emotions, and really connecting with your own emotions. And I'll give you a little example about my playing days where fear kicks in so many times. Like, let's say I have a 2-hour session of training, not even a game, training. Like, fear pops in every every 10 seconds, there's a thought of, ooh, what if I don't complete this pass? Or what if my first touch isn't correct? Or what if I can't outrun or outmuscle this opponent? Like there's so many things that can attack you if you don't have that self-love. So it starts with recognizing the emotion. So I started to write down emotions. And I think that's how you start to identify. If you feel something, try to write down and identify what it is you're feeling. Because once you start to identify your own emotions, now you can have like an antidote against it. Like if I would, for example, feel anxious about a game or an opponent, I would think about the victory. Like, oh, he's really good, but if I beat this guy, man, I'll really be good. So I would start to challenge my own emotions within myself rather than anything outside myself. I would have the battle inside myself and say, if I lose this game, like I'm not gonna die. Like, I would try to find a way to say, okay, he's really good, but if I beat this guy, that really will step me up. And that, I would think about winning those duels and I would start to feel those emotions. And in the end, I would, like in my head, I would be the winner. Like we hadn't played the game yet, but in my head, I was already winning. So every time I would step out on the field with that emotion, like it was really hard for things from the outside to bring me down because within myself, I was that winner already.
Yeah.
So I think it's really about, identifying, and every emotion might be something different. So that's why you really have to write it down and start to identify, because once you write it down, the next time you have that same feeling or emotion, you start to recognize, hey, I had this before. Last time when I had it, I did this and it went away. And I felt like that afterwards. So once you start to get in those patterns and start to recognize, then you start to build your ammunition for the next time. Say, hey, no, I've met you before. I've beat you before. This is what I'll do. So
Yeah.
that's one of the ways to really like attack your fears or like step away from your fears and really build that resilience within yourself and having that armor to fight the fears that you have.
Yeah, I love it, mate. So powerful there with the self-love, realizing the emotions. And
Yep.
what I would translate that to a lot in business is like, same with football or sport, is like you're always going to the next level, right? You got to keep
Yeah.
improving all the time. And that's unknown. So it's like, okay, doesn't matter. I'm going into this. I've got a lot of confidence in what I'm doing
Yeah.
myself. And then also, or it could be like presenting in front of a new group of people or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
new situation, it's like you got to get into that zone and then, be able to help and be able to, just get you into those emotions. I love realizing what they are, noting them down and going, okay, I've been here. It's all good.
Yeah.
Making that happen. So really, really powerful, man. And so I know you're big on spirituality
Yeah.
as well in
Yeah.
terms of life and that. So do you want to just share a little bit more about, I guess, the importance of it and how it can help us?
Yeah. Yeah. So like myself, I grew up in church. And a lot of people ask me the question, well, like, is it church? Like, is it Islam? Is it? So I think every person defines it different, but it all comes down to the same, where there is something outside of yourself um, in the bigger picture. So for me, I'll go back to myself. So for a long time, I didn't really share with a lot of people what I was doing. So if I was meeting people, like they wouldn't know that I was playing football. They wouldn't know that I played at a World Cup or whatever. Because I always like to kind of be grounded. Um, but the reason for that had more to do with myself. Because my definition of humbleness was football is my gift. So I just use my gift to be what I was. And others really had to tell me, well, like, football is your gift, but that might be someone else's gift as well. But that person didn't make it as a pro footballer. And if they made it into a pro footballer, they didn't do it for almost 2 decades. So where spirituality came in is like, I would find myself just a piece of the puzzle. So, but who created that puzzle? Like, what is there in the universe that I'm attached to that got me to the level I was at? So, and that has to do with taking time out for myself every morning. Like, you know, I woke up today, like, what is my purpose? Because it's not just for myself. Like, I'm not just here for myself. I got 3 kids. I've got a wife. I've got mates at the club. I've got players I need to work with, board members I need to work with. So what is my purpose in what I have to do today? Like, how can I build myself and be a good person to everyone I'm connecting with, for example? If someone isn't nice, like, what might be the reason that he's not nice today? Like, did he have a bad night's sleep? For example, I'll give you a little example. When I drive on the road nowadays and somebody's speeding, I always ask myself, like, what is the reason that this person is speeding? Like, is it just for him to be fast, or is somebody in hospital? Does he need to get home quick because his daughter is sick? Or there might be so many different reasons within this universe for this person to be speeding, rather than me being angry and say, oh, this asshole, like, he just cut me off, and being angry about it. So I with spirituality, it's more to find your purpose in the bigger picture rather than just you as an individual.
Yeah.
And I really try to do that, like, early mornings, when you just wake up and think about, like, you know, what is my purpose for today? Like, I know I've got my kids, I know I got my wife, but what happens if I go out doing groceries and I meet this one person that might need that little nugget about discipline or spirituality, or maybe I have a chat with a player that has struggles within himself. Like, what if I can be that person to change something positive in his life? Like, always think bigger picture than rather than you as an individual.
Yeah. Love it, man. So powerful. Completely agree. People do a lot more for others and that bigger picture, right, than they do for
Yeah,
themselves. And that's a bigger driving factor, right? Like that
yeah,
purpose
yeah,
driven side of things. So really, really powerful, man. Let's quickly talk about coaches and mentors, right? Because I
yeah,
know in sport it's massive, right? Where you have a lot of them a lot of the time. And I think it's very important in
yeah,
business as well.
yeah.
So how important has coaching mentoring been for you, and what has helped you to achieve?
Oh, it's massive. And that's also a part of that growth mindset. You can always learn something from someone. If you're willing to listen, there's always a nugget to be found somewhere. Like, I'll do the same. For example, I'm a head coach in football, but I always listen to my players, because what if one of the players knows a little bit more on this end than what I have? Like, I might be like a pro footballer for 2 decades, been in the national team, played Champions League, but what if this player knows something that I don't? Like, instead of me like, oh no, I've been here, I've seen it all, know it all. But I always take time out to listen, because what if this person knows more than me? Um, so I think it's really important that you allow yourself to always learn from people. And every person in life has a different walk. So if you might be the best at what you do, but you always went this way, you always went straight, second right, second left, roundabout. What if there's a whole new path to where you want to go? Like, there might be somebody sitting next to you that isn't at the level you're at yet, but he always takes the second left. There's another roundabout across the road that you don't know about. Like, for me, there's always a different level and a different step to learning. And especially with coaches and mentors, most of the time there are people that know something different. They might have done it like many, many times, and for you, it might be the first time. And then they might say, it might be a quick word. Well, if I were you, have a look at this or try it like this. Like I've done it, try it like this, see what happens. Like those little things, and you start to think like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let me try it. And then a whole different world might open for you. So I think with mentors and coaches, it's really important because they might be the key for you to go to that next level, or the key to opening up your mind into thinking different about something. And in football, for example, if you're a striker, you got a coach that just focuses on striking. Then you got somebody that's doing nutrition, you got a physiotherapist, you got a masseur. Like there's so many different levels of people that help you as an individual to get better. But it's also key that you allow yourself to be able to take those things in, because a lot of people think they can do it all by themselves. Like I'm happy with where I am. I'm happy with what I've achieved. But if you might listen to a coach or a mentor that has done it before and knows 10 different ways of doing it, like it might open up your world and get you to the next stage. And I think it's also a ripple effect, because if I learn something from a mentor or a coach, and I have a chat with, for example, with my son, I say, hey, I've learned this from this person. He taught me this. See if it helps for you now that you're struggling with such and such. Like it flows through, like not just yourself, but also your network, your circle. So I think with coaches and mentors, it can just elevate you. Also on the other side, like if it's something that doesn't work for you, you've tried it and now you know it doesn't work for you. So another lesson learned. Like, so if you just take it in, it will always benefit you if you take it in and then you decide what you're gonna do with it.
Yeah. Love it, man. So true. And that mindset of always, learning, be able to learn from other people. And
Yeah.
I know from me, I thought, a little while ago, not now, where it was like, I should know this. I shouldn't have to ask the question, right? But there's power in asking the question. Don't let, the pride of, hold you back, right? Just
Yeah.
always be that curious mind. And then that can really help you to help you move forward. And like you said, those little small shifts, big shifts, whatever it is, can really change the game, whether it's
Yeah.
sport, business, everything like that, man. Love it. And you shared so much gold with us here today, mate. And I guess as we're starting to wrap up quickly, what one key piece of advice would you like to give to everyone watching and listening today?
Stay positive. Whatever happens, stay positive. Because it's not always about you. Like you might be a key to opening up a door for somebody else that you least expected it to. So always be in a positive mindset. Be open to learn from others, and also be willing to share. That's a big thing as well. Like there's so much joy in sharing and seeing other people grow, with the things that you share with them. So yeah, definitely being positive. Yeah, stay positive.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Love it. Completely agree. And yeah, we connected through our networks. I learned about your awesome journey from, being a professional footballer to now, being a mindset coach as well for youthful athletes. And you're making a massive impact, mate. You shared so much value with us here today, and you're an awesome guy. I'm sure you continue to help, the next generation of elite athletes to achieve their potential. Very grateful that we connected, and I look forward to,
Yeah,
connecting
likewise.
further and, ideally working together. So yeah, Q, how can people find you and get in contact with you?
So on my LinkedIn under my own name, Kew Jaliens, Instagram Kew Jaliens78, and via email number one asset coaching at gmail.com.
Cool, man. Awesome. Well, definitely check out Q there on LinkedIn, Insta, and reach out to him directly right there. And, he can help you out from, whatever stage you're at, right? He's achieved it and to get you to get to that next level, which is awesome, man. It's been a pleasure interviewing you, mate. Thanks for being on the Business Growth Show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Business Growth Show, where we talk about everything on business growth. And please like, subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Ethan Cassiotis, or visit my website, ethancassiotis.com. And if you want to grow and scale your business, you'd reach out to me on any platform to see if we're a good fit. So until next time, remember that our business grows where we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. So let's create wealth and freedom together.